Well, it is a cold and rainy November day, so I decided to take this moment to make a quick video to show you how to make an Arctic Leopard EX look like the Vetra bike. And to be completely honest, when this bike first came out, I completely dismissed it simply because of these plastics. I was like, nope, don't like that. Never even really looked into it. And then I saw some YouTube videos of the range and how good these bikes actually were. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should consider this bike. And then the Vetra came out and I realized, hey, it looks really good without those plastics. So I thought, why not get one and see what we can do without these plastics. So I'm going to show you a quick how to remove these side plastics, and then I'm going to trim up this rear fender to make it look better because it's got some exposed stuff in here that doesn't look great. All right, so obviously the first thing you got to do is pull the seat off, and then there's just a bunch of miscellaneous little screws that hold this plastic on. First thing I ever did when I bought this bike was pull these off. So they're brand new, not a scratch on them. But you'll see there's a bolt there, bolt there, bolt there, there, one here, and then one here into the rear plastic fender. So first off, remove that. Put it somewhere safe to where they won't get scratched up if you ever want to sell the bike. I don't know. All right, you can see now this exposed rib, and this is what we're going to get rid of today. And something I just noticed is where these staples staple on the seat cover, how much that's already worn into the subframe. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but those are deep. Those are worn in on both sides already, just from pressure on the seat flexing, digging in. So that's pretty wild. So I'm going to pull this piece off, which this fender is all one piece here, and we're going to do some strategic trimming on it and see how well we can make this blend in better with the rest of the bike, because it doesn't look bad without it, but yeah, let's see if we can get rid of that. If I zoom in, it might help so you can see what I'm talking about. T25 Torx. If, and that's a big if these are the correct bolts that went here. They might not be. Not sure. So now you can see what we're talking about here. This guy. This is what I'm going to trim away. I'm going to see what it looks like without it. And in one of my other videos, I talked about how this subframe is so thin and potentially not very strong. And this whole back section is literally just a 1/4 inch piece of aluminum that you can flex. So I haven't bent mine yet, but I assume it's going to be pretty prone to being bent. I'm going to use this guy. I'm not sure what these are even called. Oscillating, I don't know. But this is what I'm going to use with a coarse wood blade on it. And I'm just going to start strategically cutting wherever I think it needs cut, and hopefully don't go too far, and see what I end up with. Now, you could use a grinder with a cutoff wheel. You could use a little bandsaw. You could use tons of different tools to do this. This is what I think I have, and I think it'll be the easiest, so that's what I'm using. Okay, let me show you what I've got. You can see some of the pieces that I've cut off, and you can see the difference side to side. So what I did basically is I just followed this line. I cut it out here first, and then I just trimmed it all the way back just because, you know, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. So I did it piece by piece. But now that I've got this side done, I know exactly what I need to do on the other side. But just followed that line that's already molded into it. And this tool kind of cuts halfway and melts halfway, so it leaves kind of a nasty finish. And it's not the greatest, so after I cut it, I hit it with a file and some sandpaper, and it's a decent, I mean, it's not shiny, but I may hit it with a torch and see if it'll bring some of the shine back to it, but I'm not really worried about it. I decided to leave this mounting hole here because that's all there is to mount the front of this to the bike. So without that, you'd only have these three back here, so this would be kind of loose. Now I am going to trim this a little bit, and you can see it's a little bent because, hopefully I can do this with my hand. You can see it hits that bolt head, and that doesn't allow this hole to line up right. So I'm going to trim that little corner off. This side doesn't seem to be as bad, but I'm going to trim those real quick just to make it fit a little bit better. Well, there you go. It doesn't look great, but I think it does look better than it looked before with these stiffening ribs in here. Now, I am actually working on designing an entire new subframe to run a much larger seat on this bike because I think this seat is way too short. It should come out here. So I don't really care to sacrifice my stock rear fender to see what it's going to look like cut down, because it's not going to be permanent. I think I'm going to retrim this. This is factory. I haven't adjusted it at all, but I think I'm going to trim it just so it's not so abrupt, to kind of just add a radius right here, smooth it out a little bit, to blend it a little bit better. But it's not bad. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut this other side to match and do a little more cleanup work on it. Then I'll give you a finished product. I've got both sides trimmed about the same, smoothed out a little bit, sanded, filed, and now I'm just going to take a regular little propane torch and heat up the areas and see what happens. So, wish me luck, I guess. You don't want to stop moving or spend too long in the same area because you will melt it. But this just basically burns all the little fuzzies off that are left. And it can bring some gloss back to it. Again, I'm not going for perfection here. This is a dirt bike that I abuse. But I'm just curious on seeing how nice I can make it look. Ooh, that's rough. All the filing marks are showing up. You can see right here is where I hit it with this guy, and it left its mark, but oh well. And this will dull out a little bit once it cools off. Just try to bring some uniformity back to it, and then call it good. Flip it over. as my friend Johnny likes to say, not terrible. Now you could go back and sand it some more and go back over it with a flame until you got it nice and smooth, but like I said, I don't really care that much, so I'm going to call this good enough. Now I am going to trim these now just to see what it look like, but I'll do one side first and show you the difference. That's about how much I'm going to do. It's about 3/4 of an inch down from that point, and I'm going to meet that right about here, and then I'll smooth it. I think it'll look good. And that's what that looks like. You can compare on the bottom side, that angle versus the new angle on the top side. I just kind of chopped a little triangle off, but I think it's going to look better. But yeah, super easy to do. Let me throw it all back together on the bike and take a look. Here's what I'm talking about earlier, how you can see how these staples in the seat have really dug into the subframe. I mean, it's covered up, so you don't really see it, but it's amazing how quick this stuff wears. But it looks good on there. It's not a bad look. It's much less busy with all these ribs being gone. It's not bad. So, you know, what was that? Probably about an hour of total work, and that's taking my time. And you could spend more time, you know, getting a little bit better finish, but it's not bad at all. Pretty pleased with it. So, if you want to do this, you know, you can save money on the Vetra fender. The only difference in the Vetra fender is this continues all the way down to here. So that's really the main difference after you do this trimming. But I think it looks pretty good. What do you think? Let me know if you're gonna attempt to do this yourself or just buy the Vetra fender if it ever is in stock, because so far I've seen it's not in stock. And there's another thing, actually, now that I think of that. Somebody said that his Vetra fender front and rear both just shattered riding on the street, which I would assume they'd be made out of the same plastic because they're coming out of the same factory. But this Arctic is, I mean, it's almost like regular dirt bike plastics that are super flexible, but not like this Alta Sigma. Actually, I've got a blown up fender, if I can get it out, right here. Here's Alta Sigma plastics. They are very, very brittle. So maybe the Vetra and the Altus are made in the same place. Plastic wise, I don't know. But the Arctic stuff seems to be just fine. And there we have it, all buttoned up, bolted back together, ready to go. I would show you outside instead of in my cramped little garage, but I don't know if you can hear it, but it's still raining outside. So you'll just have to like and subscribe and check it out in a video that'll be in the future. Thanks for watching.